Hello all, welcome to my channel. Um, Today I thought I'd make a video on aquarium lights because as we know that for the plants to grow, or at least those who wish to kind of keep a planted tank, uh, aquarium lights are really a key focus to them. There are a lot of lights in the market and you can kind of choose from an array of lights, uh, starting from simple lights to complex lights with various technical elements added to it that, for example, you can control with Wi-Fi, you can manage the luminosity, the brightness, etc. And there are simple lights that you just basically put on and you hope that the plants would grow. Now, in my last, I would say, 10 years of keeping fishes and the last 5-6 years of maintaining planted tanks, I've also experimented quite a bit with my setup, because I also kind of thought that for the plants to grow, you really need kind of expensive lights, or at least that's how I perceived. And I did kind of look up a lot of videos. Now there are a lot of videos on YouTube that really talks about the technical elements of what kind of lights you should have, the lux levels, luminosity levels, the Kelvin, the temperature levels, etc. I would not go into the technical details of it because I'm not much of an expert from a technical perspective. But what I wanted to show you was kind of results of my experiments and experiences with trying to grow planted tanks, or maintain planted tanks rather. Now in this tank you can see the plant growth is really exceptional. There are a lot of plants in here. This has kind of starting from, I would say, left, there's a lot of crypts, various varieties of crypts. There is something called a panageton. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but there's a plant called a panageton. There's a lot of anubias. There's tiger water lily. I think it's tiger lily, and it does put out flowers if I don't kind of really trim the leaves. And I probably post a small video, maybe as part of the B-roll here, about the lily blooming. Then I have a lot of rotala in the background and on towards the side as well. And as you can see, all of the plants are really healthy. And as far as I can see, there is not much of an algae. There's absolutely no algae as well. This tank was set up, I think, now about 4 weeks ago, maybe in the mid of December 2022. I set up this tank, and the plants have really flourished. And I would probably also show you in some pictures as part of this video how the tank used to look earlier. So this has been a planted tank for quite some time. So it didn't evolve as a planted tank. I used to keep some goldfishes in there. Then it moved and housed a lot of cichlids, and from there it became a planted tank. And it was really a junglescape before I rescaped it last year, December. And since then, as you can see, the plants have really grown well. There's a lot of still growing to do, and there's some adjustments to the scape I need to make, which I'll probably do in the near future. But just really simply considering about the light, and I will kind of give you an overview of what's really running right now. You can see the plant growth is really phenomenal. There's nothing that I would complain about as far as the plant growth is concerned. Now let me just take you to the top portion of this aquarium, and then we can look at the lights which are running. But as you can see, this is the angle from the top, and you might kind of see that there are probably 4 lights which are here, but obviously I'll kind of explain this in a bit as to why there are 4 and how much I am running, etc. But if you look, maybe if I can try and show you from the top, and maybe if I can zoom in. Yeah, so you can see the plants are really doing well, and these are planted just about 3-4 weeks ago when I rescaped the tank. Because of the water movement, you'd probably not see much, but yeah, whatever you see, you can see that the plants are really growing well. Even with close-up, I don't think you'd be able to maybe see any algae, etc., because obviously there is none. Yeah. This is basically, these two are the main lights which run most of the time. This is mostly, the one that you see here, which now I'm holding, is mostly a fancy light. This is one of those expensive lights that I purchased, but I never use it, as you can see. I use it maybe when I'm taking some pictures of the aquarium or the fishes, because it really throws very decent light that makes kind of fish and the colors really stand out. All the red and the blues really stand out. But from a plant growth perspective, these two lights, simple fluorescent LED strips, I think, they really do the massive lifting. Yeah, as you can see. So I'm running them in parallel. And they are Philips. I would have to probably post a picture of this, because obviously this is, you'd not be able to read it properly. But these are simple Philips fluorescent 4 feet 20 watt each bulb, each LED. So it's about 40 watts. And then there is this other LED which is running. Interestingly, this is also DIY. So when I say DIY, I had bought this LED, I think it was probably 4 or 5 years ago. And then after a few years, the LED stopped working, and I didn't want to really, and by then I had discovered that you can really grow plants with the simple setup, with a simple LED. And I didn't really want to go and buy expensive LEDs. So what I did was I took out the LED strip from similar lights. I don't know if it was from this kind of setup or from a different manufacturer, but I took out the LED strips and then I replaced the LED strips here. So it's the same, technically it's the same. So if you look, then it's 20 watts each, so it's about 60 watts that I'm running. And I think it's about 6,000K, 6,500K. Now that I look at it here, I can read, I can post a picture, but it's 6,500 Kelvin, all of the 3 LEDs, and that is more than sufficient for the plants to grow. Yeah. Yeah. So that's the look from the top, and coming back to the bottom here of the tank, you can see the plant growth. It's pretty nice. The fishes also look beautiful. I mean, with the simple white lights, the colors of the fishes are also kind of popping. It's not like the fishes look dull while the plant grows nice. Everything is pretty decent enough. Now this is one of my other tanks that I have. I've already put out a video for this. I think the title of that is called Evolution of My Aquascape. This is a custom DIY made tank. I made it myself, and as you can see, the plant growth in this tank is also quite good. So I have a lot of crypts in there, Anubias, dwarf sage, etc. Then there are some other small plants as well, which is probably not clearly visible in the video. And for this tank also, I'm using a pretty cheap light which I got for Amazon. I try to use some expensive lights on this tank as well, but the result that I am getting from this simple cheap light is as good as what I probably got from other expensive lights. I have no complaints as long as you take care of the water parameters. That is, you keep your ammonia down and you keep up with your water changes. There is not much of algae also, even though the light does kind of provide considerable luminosity, but it doesn't really cause algae problems, which I had with other expensive lights. Now there are some tips and tricks which we can do to control the luminosity. For example, what I used to do was to affix butter paper on the LED, so that would then diffuse the light and not make it as sharp as it would be. Yeah. So in a second I would probably show you how this light looks. So here we are. This is basically the light from the top angle. It's pretty slim. Um, I think it's just about maybe a centimeter or 1.5 centimeters wide. Um, the length really covers the tank. There are extendable legs, maybe, that you can call, that you get as part of this light. The only drawback of this light was that with extendable leg, it was a little dangling, so I had to then keep a small thermocol kind of, I don't know if it's visible, but small thermocol just to, yeah, and maybe it will be visible like this, just to kind of ensure that it doesn't really dangle. But other than that, I have no problems. You can see from the top also the amount of light which is entering the aquarium. Yeah, it's pretty nice. I think I'll post the link in the description. I got it from Amazon for, I don't remember now, but it was somewhere between 500 to 1000 rupees, Indian rupees. Yeah. So this is basically how thin it is. Yeah. And if I turn it, the camera would obviously glare and would not capture much, but still you can see the brightness of this light here. So this is a smaller tank that I have. This is a 1 feet by 1 feet tank. This tank was purchased. It's not a DIY tank. And this tank had also undergone its evolution. Maybe I'll kind of post some video on this in days to come. But now this is primarily a shrimp tank. It used to host a betta some time ago, but for the last 1 year, I've purely made it as a shrimp breeding tank. The scape, it's a simple mountain structure. I have tried to make it as a simple mountain. And the growth from a plant perspective, it has Java moss and some anubias. Again, for this tank also, I'm using very cheap light. When I say cheap, it's less expensive, that's what I mean. And I got it again from Amazon, and in a bit I'll show you the light, because if I just try to capture the light, the video would be impacted, so I would just keep it like this for now. So this and this has been running on for almost the light at least has been running on for almost 3 years, and in the 3 years I've kind of tried and grown various plants in this tank. So taking a closer look, you can see some shrimps here. Pretty much when it's feeding time, they really come out, but there are quite a lot of shrimps. I think it's a big colony. Let me try and zoom and see if we can see some shrimps munching. Yeah, here you are, and there would be kind of a lot of the shrimps on the. They mostly hide behind the moss, inside the moss as well. Yeah. So there are about, I would say, maybe upwards of 100 shrimps in this tank. And as you can see from the plant growth on this tank, it's also quite phenomenal. Obviously, this plant is a little overgrown. This tank is a little overgrown. I have to make some adjustments to the growth. I have to trim the moss neatly. I'll maybe post a video of it, or maybe some pictures after the trimming of this tank. But as you can see, the kind of growth is pretty nice. So there's no algae as well. Obviously some minor algae issues, but I leave that for the shrimps to clean up, because other than the shrimp food, I let them kind of really munch on the natural algae that grows in the tank. I don't really take out, for example, this algae that you see here. If I zoom in, yeah, as you can see the shrimp munching on these algae. So I really don't bother with the algae that much on this tank, because it's shrimp food. But otherwise on the plants or moss, you would not see much algae. Again, this is a very sharp light, very good for growing plants, and pretty reasonably priced. I don't remember the price now, but I'll look up in Amazon and kind of post the details in description, or maybe as part of the I'll also post some pictures of the lab along with the pricing, etc. So basically, what it means is that for really growing plants, you don't need to have expensive lights, as long as you know what kind of plants you're growing, uh, what is the light parameters, how much light is entering the water, how long you keep the lights on, etc. I think the plants would grow. Now there are certain plants which definitely would need more light, where you would need to put more than one light, which I have shown in the previous video, one of the bigger tanks I have where I've put multiple lights. But the plants do grow really nicely with the simple lights as well. Now all the lights are in my tank are automated, in the sense that they turn on at a specific interval. So this is how I do it. This is again a simple timer that I got from Amazon, and you can kind of really set a lot of parameters in there. So I have it automatically turning on at a certain interval, turning off at a certain interval. I think I run it for about 6 hours in this tank, because there are not many plants in the tank, so I just run it for 6 hours, and that's good enough for the moss and anubias to grow. Yeah. Okay, that's pretty much what I wanted to share with you all today. Thank you for watching.